If you follow any sort of spiritual websites or astrology people or anything like that, you've probably heard of this Lionsgate portal concept. What is it? Well, if you look up anything about it, you'll see the same thing. It's this lining up of the sun in Leo with the star Sirius, and there's loosely something to do with Orion's belt, I guess. So that's what you'll find, and you say, okay, cool. Well, it's time for manifestation and following your dreams and having your dreams come true. And it's 8-8, so there's some numerology there or something, and it's the ancient text used to talk about this, but nobody ever mentions what these ancient texts are or what this alignment is or how you can actually see it for yourself. Just like any other astronomical phenomenon, you should be able to look up in the sky yourself and see this with your own eyes if it in fact is happening. And we can do that with this website, stellarium-web.org. This is an awesome website. If you've never used it, I'm going to show you how to do this yourself live with me. So I'm going to go on here, just open the page, and I did go into settings and show ecliptic line, so we can see that. You see that red line is the ecliptic, where all the planets move through the constellations that we see. And start by finding the sun. We got that. It's right there in front of us. And now Sirius, we can see that below already. I'm just going to highlight that so you can find Sirius right there with the sun. It doesn't look like they're really lined up at all yet. So let's try looking for Leo, the constellation. And we can see that the sun is right on the cusp, almost into Leo. So not quite there yet. It's actually currently in the sign of Cancer as I'm recording this in the early August 2022. And this is true for every August going forward, but every 72 years, that is moving back 1 degree. So 2,000 years ago, the sun would have been in Leo around this time of the year. So that would have been true, but that is not factoring in the precession of the equinoxes, which means that now the sun is in Cancer at this time of year. And we can see that as well here in this website. So you see the box of Cancer. I'll draw on the screen to show you that line. So it's still considered in this area of the sky of Cancer. And then even more specifically into Nakshatras, which are smaller signs or stars in the sky that we look at, but we're not going into that now. We just want to see if we can actually see if there's anything true to this, if there's anything here to work with this Lionsgate portal concept, which does no source text reference, it has no references in astronomy, but is there something we can find by looking at the astronomy that might be true? So let's look for it. And by the way, we'll want to find Orion's belt. So let's look at Orion, because everyone's mentioning that as well. There's something to do with that. And we see how Orion's belt sort of points to Sirius. There's a whole bunch of theories and things about that. But you see where the sun is, there's not really any sort of lining up there. It's like an L shape almost of the sun and Sirius and the Orion's belt. And then with Leo added to that, I have to type that in again. So Leo's a big constellation. I mean, there's a lot of stars involved. So which one do we look at? Nobody mentions what star is involved here, but we could say that first star at the head of Leo, which the gate, I guess, would be the mouth. So I guess we could say the mouth of Leo to the sun. That's almost lining up, and to Sirius, and then to the Orion's belt. So I don't know what this relationship is supposed to be. Nobody says, but that's what it actually is. And we can look through time and see if there's anything we can find, if there's anything to this. So let's go back a day and keep going back 1 day at a time over the past month of the astronomy and just watch Sirius down here and Orion's belt over here. And there's a shooting star on the app. That's kind of fun. Just looking what's true, what's actually happening in the sky. And as we go back through time, way back here in May, there's kind of a lining up, I guess you could say, of the planet, of the sun with the, not the planets, but the sun with the Orion's belt and Sirius. These are all stars. So that's kind of interesting, I guess. That's probably going to become some special day, May 23rd of the year. But beyond that, it just keeps going and then further away. So we'll go ahead again to August, because people are saying it's like the end of July to late August is this time this Lionsgate portal is open, and let's just see what's happening at that time. And again, we're just watching the sun, the Sirius, Orion's belt. And now this is an interesting part right here on August 22nd, the sun is actually on a star in the constellation of Leo, like exactly on one of these stars. But is it lined up with Sirius and Orion's belt? What's the actual relationship there? I don't see anything. It's kind of like an L shape. Like, what does that mean? There's no astronomical or astrological real significance to that, and that's not where. That's the gate of like how the line walks. Like we have a gate how we walk. So there's that gate, I guess. That's there. The sun being in the legs of Leo. But if we keep moving forward through time, we see it just keeps moving on past Leo, and there's nothing really to it. I mean, that's it. So I don't know where this idea came from. I've looked at a lot of different sources online trying to find like the origins of it or who created it or why it's here. But really, it's just an echo chamber of people saying it's a powerful day for manifestation. It's a lining up of these things. And there's no real anything to grasp onto. There's no real astronomical pattern here to look to. And that's why this is so important to actually look at what's actually happening, because we're trying to use these celestial bodies as sort of markers of time, of patterns, of bookmarks throughout history, and they really can help us understand ourselves and historical events, but we've got to be using them accurately. We've got to be using the GPS accurately. If you have a GPS that's broken and you try to get to Chicago from New York, and it tells you to go a way that's based on a map from 2,000 years ago, you're going to get lost. So you've got to have a current map that's continuing to evolve and adapt through time, and that's what Vedic astrology is. That's what the sidereal zodiac is. That is not what the tropical zodiac is, which is a seasonal system. And seasonally, you could say we are in the Leo season, but that's using a constellation to explain a time period, and that constellation is not where the sun is, so it gets very confusing and very disoriented very quickly. And if you actually try to follow it like a map, it doesn't work. As its own system of its own ways of modeling things, it actually can work, can be effective, but using the word Leo to describe something that is not actually what the constellation is doing muddles things up for everybody, and it kind of devalues and diminishes the effect of astrology when we're using it effectively. So again, check out stellarium-web.org yourself. It's a free website. There's nothing to it. Just you can go in and look at any date throughout time and see the actual placements of things at that time. So really cool, really valuable tool to use to check anything that you hear about astronomy for yourself and see what is actually happening at that moment. You'll see it. So check it out, stellarium-web.org. And if you want to know how this all relates to you personally, you can get your free birth chart at quietmindastrology.com. You can schedule a reading there to learn what's going on for you personally in your health, wealth, relationships, and purpose. And check out the Quiet Mind Astrology podcast wherever you find podcasts for weekly episodes on topics like this. All right, thanks for checking this out. Hope you have a great rest of your day.